Howdy y'all, welcome back to Camp Shack Productions. Today we're going to talk about how I have actually taken my no-build Xterra and turned it into what I would consider an absolute luxury. But before we do that, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Cheers. Step 2. Ooh, almost got me. It's so cold out here. I live in Salt Lake City and the mountains are covered in snow and it is freezing. So, if you follow my videos, you saw that I pulled the trigger on the Ridgid camp bins. This thing is fantastic. I have really liked what I've been able to do. And I'm actually going to be in a future video completely customizing out that kit. But ultimately what it comes down to is this is my complete luxury camper setup. And I'm able to basically take this thing out, go anywhere I want and camp the night and just pull into camp, crawl in the back and call it a night. Or I have the ability to set up a full camp. I have the ability to take out all of my boxes, cook, I can pretty much do anything I need to, including build a tarp structure around the vehicle. I have ways to black out all of the windows and cover it up. But this is something that I am really stoked about. So inside of these 3 boxes, I have all of my camp kitchen, my tarps, anything that I would need to basically set up camp. And I recently switched to these because I really like the way that they fit in the vehicle. And depending on if I'm going by myself, if I'm going to sleep in a tent, I can do so many different things utilizing the back of my Xterra to get exactly what I want. But as you can see, I have made this exceptionally comfortable. So inside of here, I have my Ridgway cot. I have my new camp bins. I do have a smaller cooler in here right now because it is wintertime. And I basically use my cooler to keep things from freezing, not to keep things cold. If I need to keep something cold, all I have to do is put it in the back of the vehicle and it will absolutely freeze. I have frozen water bottles in there right now. And then I have a small food bin, especially if I'm going by myself, because I can fit everything I need for probably about 8 to 10 days inside of that little teeny bin. And then underneath that is my additional food and camp bin, where I have all my jet boils, everything like that you could possibly imagine. And I have my power setup inside of here, which is basically my version of a 300 watt power bank. It's really awesome to be able to charge while I'm laying in the back here. Now that the time changes happen and it gets dark so early, I can lay down and watch a really nice movie. Or I can actually charge all of my batteries for my cameras, things like that. Now that it's getting cold, it is really hard to keep things charged and rolling. So I'm really stoked. What also still makes this possible is I do still have a couple of my Rubbermaid action packers, and they work super well to make a completely flat spot here. And the one that I use underneath my cot here can hold extra coats, any kind of extra gear that I need, water bottles, anything like that. As you can see, I have my spray sink inside of here, and I also have my water jug, which the hardest part about having a water jug like that is trying to keep it from freezing. In the middle of the winter, I will usually use smaller jugs and I will actually put them inside of the cooler, and then that way I have the space behind my driver's side seat. Now, I recently had somebody ask me, why don't you put all of the gear on the passenger side to balance out the weight? If I were driving on anything crazy, anywhere where I was going to be off camber or really 4-wheel driving, I absolutely would make that shift. But most of the time what I'm doing is I'm driving down a dirt road, I'm out in the middle of the desert, I'm getting to a viewpoint so I can take photos or film a video. So for me, I really like the fact that bed is already set up. And by having everything on the passenger side where I sleep, I can keep my driver's side seat empty and I can keep it absolutely open. So if I need to leave because you get that knock in the middle of the night and somebody says, hey, get out of here, I can just jump in the front seat and drive out of there. It also gives me a place to sit down if it's really cold and I want to turn on the heater or I want to eat dinner in the front seat. I don't have to move anything. I don't have to adjust anything. I can just climb into that front seat. So that is why when I go by myself on trips where, again, if I'm off-roading, I'm going to shift everything. I'm going to put everything over here. I'm going to make my bed at night. I'm going to be able to have all my weight exactly where I want it. But for this setup and for when I'm just out either driving down a desert road someplace that's just washboard, or if I'm just driving on pavement, this works really nice, especially in like national parks and things, because I can just climb right in there, go to sleep, get up. I don't even have to get out of the vehicle. I can just climb through and go straight into the front seat and drive, and I don't have to worry about anything being in the way. So that's why I set it up this way. It also makes it a lot easier to be able to see out of my blind spot. When everything's reversed, it's a little tougher. But like I said, if I need to balance weight, I'm going to balance weight. I don't have anything on the roof rack right now. That's also another reason why I got the rigid boxes. They've got a locking clamp system where I can actually clamp to the bottom of those. I can lock the boxes. They've got a rubber gasket around them, so they'll be completely weather tight. So it gives me the ability to free up even more space inside by putting it up on top. And sometimes when I go with the wife and the dog and we have everything going, I need that extra space inside. So that's another solid reason for these new camp boxes. The Rubbermaids are great, but man, they're a pain to try to get locked down and held down, and I feel like I'm bending them, whereas I know these things will stay completely strapped down. So this thing is just absolutely set up. I can add multiple different bags to this. I can add blankets. I can put hot water bottles in there if I need to, and I don't have it set up for a sleep setup like this. I can actually flip my box and cook right out of the back, especially if like I have a tent set up or you know, I'm with buddies and we need all the seats up. It just gives me a ton of options, but this really is, it's not a cheap way to go. The boxes were expensive, you know, all of my different gear, but this is really my basically pimped out version of a really nice way to be able to catch some Z's, go fast, go light. All my camera gear sits in the front seat so that I can access it any time. My clothes just sit back in the back where I can just I use a duffel bag. It makes it super easy, and I just set that on top of stuff. And if I need to move around, if it gets really cold and I want to eat in the back or hang out and watch a movie, I can sit in the back on the cot and I can move my food bin onto the bottom, becomes a table. So it really is super duper versatile, and I'm really, really stoked. So don't let the fact that you're a daily driver, you know, everything in here can come out and I can put this back together where I don't have anything in here at all, and I can drive it to the grocery store, I can drive it to work, I can take the dog to the park, I can do whatever we're going to do. And that's what makes this thing so cool, the ability to just move it in and out. And that's why I also, aside from like my Molly panels that I built myself, I don't really fix anything inside the vehicle. I had a gear net in there at one point and I took that down just because it keeps getting in the way. So I'm going to play with that at some point here. But on my next trip, I will show you guys all the different ways that I can actually set this thing up and use it. And I love the fact that this thing can just take me where I need to go. I can get in, I can get out. And I really appreciate the fact that so many of you watch these videos and you comment. You ask things like, why don't you put it on the passenger side? And you know, I think I hopefully answered that for you, but please go down and leave a comment. It's the best way to get this video out to other people. And it also lets me know that you are liking what I'm doing, that you think the ideas are stupid or good or whatever they might be. And I really love it when somebody's like, oh, that's such a cool idea. I'm absolutely going to use that in my Xterra or in my blank, whatever vehicle you have. It just makes me feel super awesome to know that something I thought of is going to help you out. So please go down, leave that comment. Y'all, again, I appreciate you making it this far. Please go down, like that video. And if you're feeling super generous, subscribe. Otherwise, I will see you all back in the next video. All right. Be well, my friends. It's so cold. I can do all kinds of cool things with this. So many different setups. I love the new boxes.
Could you play that song for me? It's my favorite song.